Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. The dynamics of concentration. The sixth class in this series of approaching meditation. Dynamics. Dynamics, of course, in mechanics, it means something on which there are the action of forces. So there is a movement of particular thing, and because of the action of various forces on that. That's dynamics. So we call people dynamic, but they are impelled by various forces. Meditation also has something like this. We look into it and see. So we had seen that meditation stands between the subject and the object. So we have the subject on one side, we have the object on the other side, and we have something called the process of meditation. So this being said, we can say, now what are the forces acting on the processes of meditation? We know there are forces acting on the subject, we know there are forces acting on the object. In fact, the same forces that are acting on the subject as well as the object are also working on the processes of meditation or concentration. Now, first is, we know what it is. All the memories, when you sit down to concentrate, there's a rush of old memories. You know where these guys were there and where they came from. And it's exactly when you want to meditate when all these old thoughts do come in. So we have then the body is the next force that's acting on concentration. You want to meditate and then your back starts hurting, then you give it up. So nobody gives up the body and say, enough, you give up meditation. And then we have something called the external world. Of a cell phone rings and our attention goes there, not on what you are meditating upon. And you are wondering, even though it is somebody else's phone and you kept it on an airplane mode, yet you your mind jumps into all sorts of, you can say, thoughts. You assume certain things. So the external world also is acting on the processes of concentration. And then we have something called the quality of the mind when you are meditating. What's the quality of your mind? If you had a big scrap somewhere and then you're coming and saying, this is my time to meditate, and you can understand what happens. Your mind will simply not concentrate. And then there are underlying factors like this, the state of your mind, in the sense of, old attachments and revulsions, they are those are forces that are very powerful, they work beneath the conscious mind. So generally the quality of the mind means whether it's a sattva, whether it's a rajas, or whether it's tamas. Tamas is darkness and lassitude and everything connected. Rajas is movement, it's activity, it's passions, it is dynamism, as I say. And sattva is a calm balancing of both the forces, both that which tends to inertia and that which turns to extreme activity. There is a calm. So everything that you have is nice and joyous and light. So this sattva is the ideal state of mind for us to meditate in. when we are in the sattvic state of mind, it is the most easiest to meditate. Okay. So, as we have seen, we have covered in these last 5 classes the subject of meditation, knowing the subject of meditation, and then knowing the object of meditation, and what are memories, and what is the mind or the structures of the mind, as well as what exactly is life that dwells here and dwells everywhere. So, we had seen some of this. So, in this class we will only look at the processes of concentration and what are the factors acting on that process. Okay. So, before we can go into that, I would like you all to sit down quietly, sit down straight, and sit down still, and close your eyes, please. And take a long deep breath and a long exhalation. And unwind. Relaxing all your facial muscles. The muscles in your shoulders, square your shoulders, that removes those knots, and try to sit down straight. Keep your spine straight. Gaze at a point just outside the tip of your nose, please. Now apply your willpower there in that gaze. Once you have fixed a gaze, now transform that point just outside your nose into a luminous ball of light. Now apply more willpower. Don't furrow your brows. Gaze intensely. Now look deep into your heart, just behind the breastbone. The mental image of that luminous point of light or a ball of light. Watch it grow. The light grows. Within that light, see the form or the symbol of God you like. Use your willpower, please. Focus. Okay, let go. Take long, deep breaths, please. Let your eyes move around, and you can open your eyes. Concentration is the one-pointedness of the mind, and sometimes it's likened to a sharp point. Obviously, we don't need to go into the technical details of it, but then concentration in the yoga aphorisms is called samadhi. Yes, people have some very strange ideas of what samadhi is. Samadhi is just ultra concentration, where the mind becomes so one-pointed. It's like adjusting the nozzle of an oxyacetylene flame. And the more you can fine-tune it, the more it can easily cut through metal. If you don't adjust the nozzle, the flame will go all over the place. You won't get that sharp cut. So remember, concentration is just the focusing of your mind's energies in one spot and holding it there for a length of time, a few seconds, a few minutes, and then that mind itself will start becoming luminous. You will wonder, who's turned on the lights? It actually happens like that. The whole thing is lit up. So this, in short, is concentration. And how do you know? Well, you can test it. You actually feel like somebody has put on the lights inside. Suddenly everything is bright and lit up. So Patanjali in his yoga aphorisms also says, and I'll quote the Sanskrit thing, Deshabandha chittasya dharanam. Now Swami Vivekananda translates it as, okay, concentration is holding the mind onto some specific object or specific place. Now when Swami Vivekananda translates it as the mind, it means the whole of the mind. We'll explain after this what are the different sections of the whole of the mind. So that's the reason why Patanjali uses the word chitta to have a kind of a generalized idea of the entirety of the mind getting into. So when you can hold the entirety of your mind on a particular idea or a symbol or an image for a length of time, that is called concentration, dharana. Okay. Now Swami Vivekananda explains it. When you can hold your mind either on some part in the head, between the eyes, at the level of the throat, or in your heart, of course it's recommended you do it here, and we have been insistent on this because this is much easier. So when you can hold a mind there in that point, which is a center of consciousness in Vedanta and also in yoga. So what happens is sensations start arriving from that point of consciousness and kind of blends with that energy of the mind. Yeah, it's like I take a flashlight and I shine it on a wall. So what happens? Yes, the flashlight actually reveals the finer details in the wall, and also the photons are thrown back at me. They bounce back. So generally, concentration is spoken of like this. You take a flashlight and you point it to a wall, and you can see the entirety of that wall and the details at it. And then you start again adjusting the lens, if you have an adjuster, and bring it to a pinpoint. Then what happens? The wall itself, as it were, starts moving. It's giving off sensations, and these two combine. That's a tremendously, like I said, it's an ultra state. So your center of consciousness gets kind of kicked into from its sleeping state and starts becoming active. It's like keeping on knocking at a door which is closed, and suddenly then you find a response coming from the other side, and who's there and what, and then you find a door open. Exactly, this is what happens in concentration. So sensations rise from that point of the center of consciousness. We generally place that object here. That's the reason why. So then you will find the object itself has become like luminous, and it becomes living. You take this pen and say, okay, this is a pen. This same image also is in my mind. Now if I concentrate on this pen in the perfect yogic way, this pen will become luminous, because in a way it is luminous at a deeper level. It's all energy. You go down to the heart of matter, and that is what concentration does. Okay. Now we spoke about concentration. Now let's see what the 4 functions of the internal instrument are. As we have spoken about memories, memories are but nothing but, it's called the chitta, the mind stuff. You need a container to contain everything that you have done. As simple as that. When you look, suppose you're looking at a lake. When you look at a lake, please close your eyes. Let's see. Try to visualize a lake. The water is perfectly calm. And just below the surface of the lake, you can see some fish. The ones closest to the surface are more discernible. Okay. Now open your eyes, please. I'll explain. Because this needs to be hammered inside, and visualization helps. So what happens is, the discernible fish is just beneath the surface of the water is the pre-conscious mind. The surface is the conscious mind. The fish, the visible fish is the pre-conscious mind. But you also know that the lake is teeming with fish, because you're not new. You've done so many things that you all remember. So there is fish that's teeming down below. the movement of that fish, the shoals of fish and schools of fish, it's a nice school, undulates the water, and those come as ripples on the surface. How do you know that the mind functions? The mind functions because the fish don't stay in one place. They swim about, they combine and recombine, and that is what is the subconscious mind. It has a vast storage. So this is the host of memories that are there. You don't need to get frightened about that, don't worry. You're going to conquer it. That's important. I think we get this idea that, and many people say, oh, I got an intuition, I got an idea. It's nothing but some ideas placed here and there, and since everything is so fluid beneath the surface, you don't know what combines with what. And so this idea juxtaposes with that idea dovetails with that idea, and something new comes out and say, I've got a creative idea. Yeah, we know what it is. That is completely outside your control. Only things which come to the surface can be controlled. You can throw a big net or you can catch the fish. Okay. Mind. Oh God. That's the mind is nothing but the ripples on the surface of that lake. I think this is clear. So what makes those ripples? First, the fish swimming beneath that, the surface, those which are right at the bottom, in the middle, on top, plus the external factors like the breeze, they both make the ripples on the lake, and it spreads, and one contains the other, one combines with the other, and one holds everything in check. That's the manas, kind of mind. I think this is a little clear. Then we have something called the intelligence. It's called the buddhi. This, I would say, just imagine you throw fish feed in the lake, and the fish, some of the fish, they jump out of the water and grab at the fish food. Yeah, I'm not talking about bait, I'm just talking about food. And when it leaps out and then it grabs that feed and then again plunges into the water, there's a whole series of very strong ripples that kind of subdue all the other ripples which are there, which are fighting for space on the surface. So this one ripple becomes large. It swallows up everything. It's like a kind of a tsunami. When a tsunami comes and it aggregates or collects to itself all the surrounding water and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it crashes. This is intelligence. When things come and you can understand things, because a lot of energy of the mind is brought in one focus and then it spreads itself all over the mind. So when a person is using that buddhi, the intellect, the intelligence, the entire mind, the surface of the mind is suffused with those ripples, and they also go down and become memories. So these memories of knowledge do not obstruct. What obstructs is the memories of disturbances, things like which you are not very happy doing it, those things. But memories of knowledge will never disturb your meditation. You try, notice it. Have you been doing it for years? So we know. Okay. So just to put it on the record, it's called Jnanashay and Karmashay. Ashay is a receptacle of knowledge, knowledge impressions. These do not obstruct your meditation. It's only impressions of ignorance and stupidity that actually disturb you. Disturb your meditation for obvious reasons. Okay. The fourth function in that mind stuff is the sense of I. This I is so pervasive, it's there with every ripple and everything. It's important. People say, oh, that person has got a big sense of ego. That is a different category altogether. Many people say, okay, this person is very egotistical. Oh, he's proud, he's haughty and kind of angry. And they all associated with that idea of the sense of self. This sense of self is the pure sense of self, which ties every experience of yours together. Otherwise, the whole thing will just simply collapse. How do you know you were there? It's a kind of a timeline. It's an autobiography. Your autobiographical self is tied down by this sense of identity. Everything is tied. So you can relate to it. And it is such, that it's on the conscious mind, and everything that comes towards the conscious mind, it says, this is me, this is mine. If this is not there, the body and the mind will simply go to pieces. There's nothing integrating your experiences, your knowledge and everything together. So we are kind of doing it briefly. So in order to give you a kind of an idea, what really is this? Now, okay. There's another big factor, like in the dynamics of concentration I was talking about. The factor is time and space. Apart from the memories and the body and life and external world and everything, there is also time and space. That is an extremely powerful factor. Like when we are talking and we are listening, we are doing things, everything is fragmented into events. This event, this event, this event, this event. Everything is a sequence of events within time and space. Without time and space, you cannot have any events and you cannot relate to anything. The very fact that you say, I have a mind, you are in time, and wherever there's time, there has to be space. When you say, I'm a body, this is my body, the body has to be located in time and in space. You cannot have a body which outside time and space. So the mind also then has to exist within the factors of time and space. And the contents of the mind also have to be within time and space. And concentration also will have to be within time and space. The series of events. I think this is clear. If this is clear, yeah, you are a yogi now. Only a yogi will be able to see how the movement of the mind is within time and space. It will go through every event. Because the perception has become so internalized and so subtle. So suppose you are concentrating on a golden ball of light, which is one of my favorite type, because for obvious reasons, it grabs your attention. So you think there is one concentration constantly going on. The mind is like, focused, and it's getting finer and finer and finer, and it's like a point of, you can say, light now, and it has grabbed that object of meditation. You may think it's a kind of a straight, you can say, process, a little difficult, and you're pushing and pulling and all that. But each effort at concentration is an event. But the power of concentration is such, you feel it's a continuous thing. It's actually not continuous. Everything moves in waves. Everything moves in waves. The yoga's philosophy is very clear. And now we have something like, whether it's a particle or it's a wave, yeah, we'll call it a wave. You call it a particle, that's okay, fine. Everything moves in waves. Everything in this universe, including the mind and including the energies of the mind while concentrating. It's like when you flash still pictures, you get the illusion of, you can say, continuity. Like other movies wouldn't have been, couldn't exist. The brain contributes the movement looking at still pictures. When you run it at, say, 21 or 23 frames per minute or whatever second. Okay. So concentration is subject to this time and space. But as you concentrate, what happens? There's a flow that's generated. You, as it were, transcend time and space. And that's why when you really are absorbed in meditation, you will not know where you are sitting to meditate and how long you have been meditating. You will only realize it when you open your eyes and you look at, oh my God. Oh, that is why you become oblivious of time and space, because that concentration becomes so intense that time and space for the moment is overcome. The events, they are flowing. The next thing that happens in concentration is the subject and the object. Remember, and this is concentration in the middle. This is called the meditator, dhyatri. This is the object of meditation, dheya, and dhyanam. This is meditation. They are pulled together, and there's a kind of a convergence. Swami Vivekananda was asked in Harvard, then the subject merges into the object? No, the object merges into the subject. It's like, both the ends of the spectrum are now converging toward the center. Then you lose the sense of I am meditating. I disappear, meditation disappears, the object is merged in the subject, and everything is peace, peace, peace. That is perfect concentration. That is called meditation. There are various levels, of course, but if you can come to this part, you've cracked the code. Of what? Of the universe. Because every act of concentration will give you knowledge. This is the perfect key. Then you say, I have transcended duality. Not before that. People think, oh, I've had a non-dual experience. Sorry, I can only when we see that these things have merged, then you have transcended. Other people just keep on talking like parrots. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. You teach a parrot the names of God. Radha Krishna, it keeps on doing. But when a cat comes in, it will squawk. It will forget everything. So same with all kind of religious kind of talk, and I'm not talking about only ordinary practitioners, but even experienced practitioners. When the crunch comes, all the name of God and everything flies away. That has to be made concrete, solid, and it comes only through these practices, nothing else. Religion, this is religion. But what about pouring water there and putting flowers there and this and that? Those are the external aspects of the outer, really outer fringes of religion, if you may. This is the heart of religion. This is the heart of experience. This is the key to the knowledge of the universe. Before we can close, we'll have another smaller session of meditation. Okay, close your eyes, please. And sit down straight and tilt your chin up and gaze at a point somewhere here on your chin or just outside your nose. Gaze and focus. Let your eyes, your eyeballs descend down and just gaze at it neutrally. The point may be black or brown or whatever, or white. Now, as if you're gathering up all your energy and you're focusing on that point outside. If you'd like, you can even clench your fist. And as you clench it harder, think that you are focusing even harder. Keep your fist clenched. Just become aware of you as a concentrator. Become aware of I am concentrating. And that is an object of concentration. Don't let that point or that spot move. If it moves, it means you are not concentrating. Keep it still. Okay, unclench your fist, please. Slowly. Let go and breathe. And slowly open your eyes and relax. Om, peace, peace, peace. I use this. You need sometimes a cue to kind of just make you feel, yeah, this is what it is, I am going to. Because as a general habit, like, when we are just, kind of energized, we want to achieve something, we clench our fist. There are a few books that mention you can clench your fist, clench your teeth also, but don't do that, but just fist. Just to keep you focused there on that. Okay. And as when you are in that, just become aware of yourself as concentrating. That gives power to concentration. Then it is no longer just a mechanical process. Now it's a deliberate, conscious process. Okay. So thank you very much. We can open it up for questions. Please type in your questions. Yeah. The question is, how long should one meditate? Okay. I've always insisted that one should go in for quality than for quantity. Because this is your quality time, the time you are giving to yourself. So if you can meditate for half an hour, at least for you specifically, I would ask people to start with 15 minutes. But I know 15 minutes or even half an hour is not that quality time. You may struggle for half an hour. You may be able to concentrate for 2 or 3 seconds. Later on, as we develop these ideas, I'll tell you why. Because your concentration comes in spurts. It takes a little grounding for the concentration to be stabilized. So what you are doing in the first is, you say your prayers, and then you try to set your posture, and then your breathing, and then the other things. By the time you come to that aspect of concentration, never get into the concentration immediately. Never. Your mind will throw you out. It will just throw you out. Or you'll fall asleep. That's the way the mind also throws you off. You'll fall asleep. There is no doubt about it. Or your mind will become too restless. So wait, watch the mind, see the mind bubble up and down, and then it will settle down. Then you start. So you give at least 2 or 5 minutes after you sit down and you're still, then you can start applying your methods. That is. So yeah, so it depends on the aspirant. You need to be, even physically, you need to have a little strength to sit down still without your leg falling asleep or your back hurting or your head hurting or something like that. So it depends on, I would ask people to start with 15 minutes and then after a couple of months extend it to 20 minutes by 5 minutes and slowly. So by the end of 6 months or end of a year, you've covered a large ground. So do it with great love and caution. That is the idea. When you can love that object of meditation, you can concentrate. We can see it. It's only there, that love, that makes your mind concentrated. So that's the easy part, I think. We're going to talk about love on Sunday. So, Bhakti.